good Monday evening, everyone. This is Jacob Melton live here of West Michigan Weather, and I am joining you here as National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for Allegan and portions of Van Buren County in southwest Michigan. This severe thunderstorm warning goes until 8:15 p.m. this evening, and this is associated with a complex of strong thunderstorms that we've been watching over the lake that has had a history of producing of gusty winds, some potential for small hail, and we have also had water spouts observed with this complex of storms as it moved across the lake. Now it is starting to move onshore, and it has a potential for damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour, and we also have the tornado possible tag on this warning, due to the fact that we do have just in case we do have a water spout potentially move onshore as it moves from Lake Michigan onto our West Michigan shoreline. So again, I'm going to read off the warning text. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Van Buren County and Allegan County in southwest lower Michigan. This warning again goes until 8:15 p.m. this evening. At 7:17 p.m., severe thunderstorms are located along a line from 7 miles southwest of Saugatuck to near Van Buren State Park, moving east at 40 miles per hour. Again, the primary hazard with this is 60 mile per hour wind gusts that is radar indicated, and some potential impacts. You may expect potential for damage to roofs, siding, and trees as a result of the strong to damaging wind gusts. Some locations potentially impacted by this severe thunderstorm include Holland, Allegan, South Haven, Wayland, Otsego, Plainwell, the Fenville area, Saugatuck, Martin, Van Buren State Park, Dorr, Pine Grove, the Ganges area, Hamilton, Douglas, the Gobbles area, Hopkins, Bloomingdale, the Moline area, and Breedsville. Precautionary and preparedness actions: remain alert for the possible tornado. As I mentioned with our tornado possible tag that is on this warning. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once into the basement or small central room in a sturdy structure. The National Weather Service also warns that torrential rainfall is occurring with these storms and may lead to potential for flash flooding issues. Do not drive your vehicle through any flooded roadways. So as we have on Doppler radar here, our strong line of now severe thunderstorms is moving onshore as we speak along the I-196 corridor from near Douglas to the Ganges area over towards South Haven. And as it continues to move off to the east, some areas again that will be impacted include the Fenville area, east towards Allegan and Plainwell, the Lee area, in the northern Van Buren County, the Breedsville, Bloomingdale, and Pine Grove area. And then as we head towards the 131 corridor, it's Gobble. Okay. The Gobble area. Okay, thank you, Aaron. Aaron on YouTube, thank you for that correction. Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, so continuing on with our 131 corridor, the Dorr area, Wayland, Watson, the Martin area, the Otsego area, and eventually, Plainwell as well. So we're going to switch it here from the how hard is it raining mode to the which way the wind is blowing and how hard is it blowing mode, that is called velocity here. As we switch to that, the gustier winds are being indicated just south of the Ganges area, near the I-196 corridor there. If I zoom in a little bit more, the Glen area, Shorecrest, over towards Spring Grove, that is where the highest potential for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour is being indicated. I will analyze it a little bit closer, and we're seeing, around 40 to 45 being indicated on per radar on velocity. Keep in mind, though, this is a few thousand feet up. It may not necessarily be being represented at the surface. Excuse me. And so again, just something, just maintain. We do still have the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with this storm. All of the potential for a tornado, brief possible tornado, which if there is going to be something to that effect, not really seeing anything to indicate that at this time, but just with the history of water spouts, as it was over Lake Michigan, we're keeping an eye out just in case, as it was moving on shore. Nothing definitive, but there could have been the possibility that it could have had a water spout maybe move on shore briefly. Again, nothing reported to that effect yet, but we are watching that closely as it continues to move off to the east. And I'll actually loop it here, as a matter of fact. I will show you that what looked to be a more intense area of storms as it was over Lake Michigan has kind of backed off just a touch as it starts to move on shore here, but still the potential for very gusty winds, if not damaging. Damaging winds as it continues to move off to the east. Excuse me, sorry about that. I was just checking something here. Actually, we got a new scan coming in here. And maybe, nothing definitively concerning to me, but maybe a little bit of rotation there south of the Fenville area. Again, nothing that screams tornado to me at this time, but something we are watching as it continues to move off to the east. It's just south of the Fenville area. If you're near the Pearl community there, that is where it's at right now. And then I'll be moving towards the Allegan State Game area, and eventually towards the Mill Grove, and potentially just north of Allegan there, if it continues to move off to the east. And we don't expect there to be long track tornadoes or anything like that. If there's going to be a tornado, it's going to be very brief and probably on the weaker end of things, if one does manage to develop as this continues to move on off to the east. Aaron from YouTube asking, how much of a chance will storms develop behind it into the southwest, specifically Kalamazoo County? Actually, we'll take a look here, and there is additional activity that is developing behind this activity. I will go behind this current severe warned activity. I'll go over to the Chicago radar. It has just a little bit of a better look. And we do see additional showers and potentially some thunderstorm activity forming off to the southwest of this. Severe activity moving on shore. There's some additional activity developing near Chicago and into southern Lake Michigan. That will continue to move off to the east, maybe a touch northeast, and will eventually track towards the Kalamazoo area as we head in later into the evening hours. Again, with time this evening, as the sun's already been setting as it is, as we continue to go into darkness, I do think the severe threat, the limited severe threat we do have ongoing, will begin to back off over the coming hours. As we lose the limited daytime instability, it gets a little more stable out there. Don't get me wrong, we'll still have some isolated thunderstorm activity possible through the evening into the early overnight hours. But I do think the severe threat will be a very short term, not widespread in nature or anything like that. And again, that will continue to fade away as we get into the later into the evening and overnight hours. But again, this activity we are watching that has kind of flared up over southern Lake Michigan, that will be what you're watching as it continues to move off to the east if you're looking for any rain potential there in Kalamazoo County, Aaron. So we'll go back to radar. We'll focus on our severe thunderstorm warning that continues for Allegan and northern portions of Van Buren County for the next 53 minutes, as a matter of fact, until 8:15 p.m. this evening. We do continue or 44 minutes now, excuse me. My alternative app I was looking at the warning for did not quite update. There it goes. 44 minutes now until 8:15 p.m. this evening. Again, for northern Van Buren and all of Allegan County in southwest Michigan. Again, this is moving off to the east at around 40 miles per hour. So if you're watching in the Douglas area, you're seeing some heavier rainfall, probably some gusty winds. Same for the Ganges area. South Haven, the worst of it is likely passed off just a touch, just to your north, but you're still seeing some decent rainfall, potentially a bit gustier winds. If you're in the Fenville area, it's on your doorstep as I speak to you here. Same with Lee. And then Allegan, it'll be on your doorstep in the next probably 10 to 15 minutes. 10 to 20 minutes, we'll say, as a matter of fact. That will be on your doorstep there. So, again, the primary, if you're just tuning in here, the primary potential of this severe thunderstorm warning is the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. However, we do still have the tornado possible tag associated with this warning, which means a brief spin-up tornado, weak tornado cannot be fully ruled out, but it's not immediately likely at this time why we don't have a tornado warning in effect. But we are watching that potential closely, and just in case a warning does end up needing to be issued, that's just kind of our warning to us and to you that there is some signs of rotation that have been exhibited with this storm, but just not enough to officially have a tornado warning become necessary. But we'll go back to velocity as a matter of fact. And I can tell you that velocities, it could just be that it's getting a little closer to the radar as well, but it has backed off a little bit. Since it was over the lake here, it has certainly backed off. But we are still seeing signs of gustier winds just south of the Fenville area, over towards the Ganges area, just south of there. And as it continues to move off to the east, this will primarily be an Allegan State Game area over towards the city of Allegan proper. And then it will eventually, if it holds its strength as it currently is, we will need to pay attention to the 131 corridor, including the Door area, Wayland, down towards the Martin area, and eventually Plainwell as well. So we are continuing to watch this situation. That's why I'm live with you here this Monday evening. Current Cape values. Let me look at that behind the scenes here. Current Cape values. I will say the Weather Service did mention that we were looking at in our forecast discussion this afternoon the potential for probably around 500 joules of instability in the most unstable layer. Let me pull it up right now, though, for you. And yep, the most unstable layer, we're looking at around 500 joules of Cape across much of West Michigan, especially for those of you, especially like the Mount Pleasant areas down towards Grand Rapids and back into Southwest Michigan. That is what's driving this strong to severe thunderstorm. But again, and then around 500 surface-based as well, associated with this complex. And wind shear, I'll just check that real quick as well. We do have effective shear values, at least according to SPC meso-analysis, of around 40 to 45 knots in spots. So as these storms continue to move into that, again, we do have the limited instability, but the wind shear we have is just enough to kind of get these storms to ramp up a bit, and that's what we're seeing right now with this severe thunderstorm warning. Again, this will not be an all-night thing. This will probably only be, I want to say, midnight at the latest. Midnight or so, I think our low-end severe potential will continue to ramp down. But midnight at the latest, I'll say, and then we'll still have the potential for rain showers, maybe a few embedded thunderstorms, but nothing, but the low-end severe potential will continue to back off. Jordan on Facebook is Flint out of the risk. I will say Flint is just outside of our coverage area here, but Flint area will have shower and thunderstorm potential. And obviously, I'm not going to 100% rule out our low-end severe risk, but I do think by the time storms get over there, we'll probably not have a real severe weather risk, as it's already becoming nighttime. We're going to lose the limited daytime instability we've had, and it'll just become some rainmakers, maybe a few rumbles of thunder, and probably sub-severe wind gusts at that point. But obviously that'll be outside of our coverage area, but just kind of remain level aware this evening, just in case there, Jordan. But I think any severe threat out towards Flint will be fairly low at this point. Honestly, we weren't, at least the Storm Prediction Center never outlined a marginal risk, so as they were thinking that the parameters were just too marginal for it to be a widespread enough threat, but they were mentioning the potential for some strong winds, which is what we're seeing now, potentially across Allegan County and into northern portions, potentially of Van Buren County. But taking a look back here at radar, Benville, you're in the thick of this storm right now. Very heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and some lightning there as well. Excuse me. Let me grab a drink real quick of water. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, so same for the Lee area. Dangerous area, this storm's clearing you now. Douglas area, storm is also pushing through and is clearing your area now. Still remain inside for the next little bit, just in case of any lightning hazards. But at this point, we do think the strongest part of this storm is clearing your area now. Same goes for South Haven as well. So we'll go back to velocity, make sure we're not missing anything. And I will say, velocities have been downtrending ever since this has moved on shore. But still the potential for some gustier winds through the Fenville area towards the Allegan State Game area. That will be approaching the M40 corridor there between Holland and Allegan especially over the next several minutes as well. So if you're driving along M40 there between Holland and Allegan over towards Plainwell, if you can, I would just recommend holding off for just a little bit. Let these storms push on through, then you can resume your driving activities. But if you can, if you don't have to be out right now, just kind of push it back a little bit, at least for the next, we'll say 10 to 20 minutes, half hour at most. Let the storm clear out and push through before you travel if you can, if you don't have to be out. Let's go back to reflectivity. And Holland, you're not in the severe thunderstorm warning officially, neither is Zeeland, but you are likely seeing some heavier downpours right now. And this storm as a whole, I'll loop it here, continues to move off mainly to the east, mainly a touch, maybe a touch off to the northeast, but it's primarily easterly moving. And again, that will be taking it eventually towards the US 131 corridor over the coming half hour or so, if the storm continues to maintain its current strength. If you do have any storm reports, especially as the storm has moved on shore, if you do have any storm reports to share with us, we would greatly appreciate those. You could send those to us on our social media. If you're watching on our social media chat, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, X, formerly X or Twitter, depending on how you want to refer it, and Twitch as well. If you have any storm reports to pass along to us potentially, such as wind damage especially, or if you've seen a water spout as it was moving on shore over Lake Michigan, or if you do have any reports like that, wind gusts or storm-related damage, we would greatly appreciate those reports. Again, you could pass it to it right here on the social media chat room on the platform you're watching us on. We are watching chat here. You can also tag us on your preferred social media platform, Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc. And you can also submit those to us on our website. That is going to be www.westmichiganweather.net/report. In just a minute here, I will post a link in chat as well for those of you that want the link to it in the chat room, I'm sending that out right now. And that is where you can submit those storm reports to us as well. You'll have a link to a form that you can fill out with your storm report information. And those reports are greatly appreciated. So again, and don't put yourself in danger trying to get reports to us. I would rather see a damage report after the fact than you trying to put yourself in danger trying to measure a wind gust or something like that. We don't want to see anyone put themselves in danger to submit reports. Again, I would much rather, again, have the damage report after the fact than to have anyone in danger trying to submit reports to us. So please do so safely. But we would greatly appreciate any reports you're able to pass along to us. So we'll go back to the Doppler radar, and we're continuing to watch this storm that has been a strong storms over the lake, became severe as they started to move on shore here, and they're continuing to track off to the east at around 7:40 p.m. this evening. It was 7:42 as a matter of fact on this Monday evening. And we do continue with this severe thunderstorm warning for the next 33 minutes across Allegan County and the very extreme northern portions of Van Buren County, mainly north of the M43 corridor there. So if you're in South Haven, the storm's passing you now, you still technically remain in this severe thunderstorm warning. Same for the Breedsville area over towards Bloomingdale and Pine Grove. I will say the strongest part of this storm will primarily be passing to the north of Van Buren County, but that doesn't mean you still can't have gusty winds or something like that, so do continue to remain inside. I will say the strongest part of this storm is mainly in the Allegan County at this point. We'll take a look at velocity again, as a matter of fact. We're going to switch from what you're seeing right now is the how hard is it raining mode, reflectivity, to the how strong the wind and which way is it blowing mode, or velocity. As you can see, it is primarily greens here. We're not seeing any real tight greens and reds together or anything like that. That would generally be a sign of rotation. We're not really seeing anything to that effect at this point. And I will say the color, we're seeing blues over, light blues over the lake. That's generally an indication of higher winds. That has since backed off a little bit, but we are still seeing some brighter greens here east of Fenville, towards the Allegan State Game area, up to just south of Holland. That is where your stronger winds are going to be. Not necessarily severe limits, although that's still a possibility why they're continuing our severe thunderstorm warning for the next little while. So I have not seen any updates from our friends at the National Weather Service regarding that. So again, primarily straight line winds at this point, I am suspecting, as it continues to move towards M40 there, especially between Allegan and Holland. So again, just kind of hold off on your travel that direction. Same goes for the 131 corridor if this continues to hold up. So we'll go back to reflectivity. And I will say there is some signs of an outflow boundary. I'll kind of try to highlight it here with the tool. There we go. What we're looking at here is an outflow boundary. We're starting to see signs of getting pushed out from the storm. That tends to happen with these storms. And if these outflow boundaries get a little too far ahead of the storms, the cold air that's rushing out from the storm will cut the storm off and kind of cause it to weaken with time. We're seeing that on the southern edge of this storm across northern Van Buren County. So that means you might notice the winds pick up before any rain falls. You could have some delay between that when these outflow boundaries start to get ahead of the storm like it is right now. So, newer scan. Well, okay. I'm going to have to zoom in there just a little bit. Sometimes we have to watch these notches that can form on the edges of these storms, like towards the Dunningville area. We sometimes have to watch the notches that form on the leading edge of these bows. that develop. And sometimes that's where you can some events. Put it this way: sometimes you can have brief spin ups that can happen along these notches on the leading edge. I'll check velocity real quick, and a little hard to tell, but maybe some gustier winds there near the Dunningville area. Actually, we'll go over to our debris tracker just in case. I'm not really seeing anything definitive, I don't think, to indicate a tornado, but probably some gustier winds there near the Dunningville area over towards Mill Grove. And that will eventually be heading towards the Monterey Center and South Monterey communities as well. And on Allegan 37 there, A37, kind of near M40, where M40 and M89 meet there. That is kind of where we're watching that. Again, I'm not going to jump and say that's a tornado. Chances of that appear relatively low, but just something we are watching. Sometimes these little notches you can get spin there from time to time. So, other than that, I will say this is mainly a heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, and a gusty wind maker as it continues to move across. Mainly Allegan County at this point. On northern Van Buren, you're likely still seeing some gustier winds as we continue with this severe thunderstorm warning. Excuse me. So, for those of you that might be just joining us here, I am Jacob Melton, live here of West Michigan Weather. On this Monday evening, I'm here with you because of a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued by our friends at the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids. And that is a warning that is in effect until 8:15 p.m. this evening. Again, for all of Allegan County and northern portions of Van Buren County, the far northern portions. So, like in Van Buren County, if you're in Bangor or Paw Paw or Hartford, down towards Lawton and Decatur, you are not under this severe thunderstorm warning. There is no threat to you of severe weather at this point in time. Although we are monitoring some additional shower and potentially thunderstorm activity with time that could be heading towards your area throughout the evening hours. None of this is looking to be severe at this time. This is the only severe thunderstorm warning in the state of Michigan, for a matter of fact. As I zoom out here, in fact, up towards the Upper Peninsula, those are freeze watches that are in effect. And that's a sign of the air mass coming into our area behind the cold front that is moving through our area this evening. That's going to bring fall temperatures back into the area. As you know, the last few days it's felt more like summer out there and not fall. But fall's coming back, especially as we head into tomorrow and through the good part of the rest of this week. So that's just a sign of what's to come once we get these storms through here tonight. So let's focus on our severe thunderstorm warning. I will say the strongest part of this storm appears to be in northern Allegan County at this point. That is where I'm seeing the most frequent lightning being indicated. That's these little dots you can see I'm trying to highlight here. That is where we're having some frequent lightning. And lightning is generally an indicator of the storm's strength. So if you have frequent lightning, generally the stronger the storm. But we'll go back to velocity here. And that is where I'm still seeing some of these brighter greens. I'm not seeing the light blues that we were seeing back over Lake Michigan, but still some gusty wind potential near the Overijssel area. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Down towards the Hamilton community as well. Over towards the Dunningville area, eventually towards Diamond Springs as well. So, not see anything coming in. Alright, hold on. I will say they have, let me loop it to get the update. They have updated the severe thunderstorm warning just now. So if you are in northern Van Buren County, the aforementioned communities of South Haven, Breedsville, Bloomingdale, and Pine Grove. You have been dropped from the severe thunderstorm warning. The update has just came down the wire. And we continue with the severe thunderstorm warning now, mainly for Allegan County. Although I will say the far southwest corner of Allegan County, near like the South Haven Highlands area, over towards the Leisure area and Hawkhead, those communities, you have been dropped from the severe thunderstorm warning. So if you're near like the Hawks Head Links Golf Course area, you have been dropped from the severe thunderstorm warning. But this warning continues for the majority of Allegan County for the next little less than 25 minutes or so until 8:15. They have maintained their tornado possible tag and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well across the portions of Allegan County. Let me pull up the updated warning text and read that to you as a matter of fact. First, again, the severe thunderstorm warning for northern Van Buren County, for those of you watching there, that has been canceled. The storm which prompted the warning has moved out of the warned area, therefore the warning has been canceled. So, again, if you're in northern Van Buren County, this warning's over for you. You might still see some gusty winds with the outflow coming in, but the severe threat is done across northern Van Buren County. For those of you in Allegan County, especially central Allegan County at this point, the severe thunderstorm warning continues for you until 8:15 this evening. At 7:48 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 5 miles southeast of the Holland area to near the Allegan area, moving off to the northeast at 50 miles per hour. So it has sped up a little bit. It is moving off a little bit more off to the northeast than it was earlier. Remember, earlier is moving off to the east at around 40 miles per hour. So now it's northeast at 50 miles per hour. Primary hazard continues to be 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And again, this source continues to be radar indicated. And we continue to expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. That remains a possibility. Locations impacted include, it mentions the Holland area, although I think the strongest part is passing just to the south of Holland, over towards the Allegan area, the Wayland area, Fenville, Saugatuck, the Door area, Hamilton, Douglas, Hopkins, Moline, the Burnips area, Bradley, Pullman, Green Lake, Saugatuck Dunes State Park, and Overijssel area. I apologize again if I mispronounce that one. Remain precautionary and preparedness actions for those of you that are listening. Remain alert for a possible tornado. Again, possible. Nothing indicating an active tornado at this time, but there's still the possibility of one occurring. Hence our tornado possible tag on the warning. Tornadoes can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you happen to spot a tornado, go at once into the basement or small central room in a sturdy structure. By small central room, we mean something like a hallway, an interior closet, or a bathroom, something small and central to the home. Put as many walls between you as possible if there happens to be a small spin-up tornado. They also continue with the torrential rainfalls occurring with these storms and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. I will say that we have been very, very dry across West Michigan, and while this rain is certainly welcome, we don't want it that quickly, because if it comes down too quickly, it'll just run off, and that's where we get the flooding concerns. So, again, that continues as it moves across central Allegan County now. So we'll take a look at velocity here real quickly. And not really, still some gustier wind potential. Now heading towards the Diamond Springs area right now, down towards the Monterey Center area, and that will be eventually. If you're near the Sandy Pines area there, northern Allegan County, southwest of Door, that is where we're watching at this time for the highest potential strong and damaging winds. Again, I am not. Let me look at it from another radar source behind the scenes here. Unfortunately, storm relative velocity on this radar app is a little bit lower resolution than I'd like, so I'll look at it behind the scenes. And I will say potentially. Right, not really seeing anything still to indicate immediate tornado potential of this storm. But that is something we're going to be continuing to watch over the next little while, for the next little less than 20 minutes now, as this severe thunderstorm warning continues. And with our northeasterly movement that has picked up as of recent, for those of you in southern, mainly southeastern Ottawa County, and potentially southern Kent County as well, if this storm maintains its current strength, a severe thunderstorm warning may eventually be required for far southeastern Ottawa and potentially southern Kent counties. We will see what the National Weather Service decides to do as it approaches, but just be alert that we do have the potential for some gustier to potentially damaging winds. Will be a possibility across far southeastern Ottawa and southern Kent County, excuse me. So for like the Kentwood area down towards Gaines and Caledonia as well, Caledonia Township, Caledonia, that is where we'll be watching as well down the line as well there. So then for southeastern Ottawa, that's going to be probably south of Hudsonville towards like the Jamestown area, over towards Byron Center as well. That is what we'll be watching in the short term if we do see these storms continue to move off to the northeast and hold their current strength as they move across Allegan County. Again, just with that little bit more northeasterly movement, just want to try and give an early heads up to anyone that may be watching in that area. So, just taking a look at some reports behind the scenes here. I have not seen anything yet. So, and again, if you do have any reports to pass along to us, anyone that might be watching with us here, if you do have any storm reports to us, we do have several options to submit those reports to us. Again, you can send them to us on social media. We are watching social media chat and social media in general, just in case. And then we also have a website where you can submit those storm reports to us. That is going to be www.westmichiganweather.net/report. I sent that link earlier in the chat. Again, as the chat room on the social media platform you are watching. And that is where you can go to our website. It will have a link to a form to where you can submit your storm reports to us. Again, we do appreciate any storm reports to us, as it not only helps us out, but our friends at the National Weather Service as well, as we do generally pass along those reports to our friends at the National Weather Service. So again, to be greatly appreciated, but don't put yourself in danger trying to submit those storm reports to us. We would rather see a damage report after the fact than have you in danger in the middle of these storms trying to submit a storm report, unless you're a trained spotter or something of that nature. But as for the general public, safety is priority. Only submit those storm reports if you can do so safely. So we are continuing to watch radar here. I will say in northern Allegan County, especially north of Allegan, you can see how it's kind of bowing out a little bit on reflectivity. What that is that's the winds coming in from the backside of the storm, pushing the rain out ahead of it, and it's generally the leading edge of these bow echoes in general. That is where your highest potential for damaging winds will be, along the leading edge of these complexes. And then as the storms move in, the winds will, with time, start to back off, but still, you'll have the rain pick up. And then with time, the damaging winds will slow down as the storms continue to move out. But it's generally the leading edge. That is where we're generally watching for the highest damaging wind potential. And as I pull up velocity once again here, I'm still not seeing, at least on radar, anything that screams damaging winds to me. But that doesn't mean it's still not ongoing, because remember, this is still about 1,000 feet up from radar. So, Tay on Facebook asking what about Raylan, about what time. So in the Leyland area, as I go back to reflectivity, probably give it, I would say within the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. But remember, the wind will probably pick up first and then the rain will. So probably in the next 10, 15 minutes or so, I would expect this in the Wayland area based on current trajectory. So around 10 minutes or so. However, you are in the severe thunderstorm warning in the Leyland area, and I would advise just be inside that sturdy structure now, preferably, and just let the storm pass on by. So, again, about 10 minutes there in the Wayland area, I would figure, based on current storm trajectory. But don't wait those 10 minutes. Just get inside a sturdy structure now and let the storm pass by. As it's moving at 50 miles per hour, it probably won't stick around for a terribly long time. But just don't. Tay says, thank you, got dogs to take into the basement just in case. Well, that's definitely a good idea, especially with these storms. I mean, especially with the tornado possible tag, that's not a bad idea. Just in case. You can never be too safe with these storms. I can understand that, so don't. So, yeah. Go ahead if you feel the need to take those dogs to the basement. That's a good idea. With strong to severe storms moving into the Wayland area over the next few minutes, over the next round, like I said, around 10 minutes or so. So we'll go back to, I will say, let's go to velocity on that. Okay. I will say that might be a little bit, it's a little bit hard to tell. Let me look at it behind the scenes just to verify my suspicions. Say we might have what could potentially be a little bit of rotation just southwest of the door area. Nothing definitive to indicate a tornado at this point, but definitely some potential for enhanced damaging wind gusts there. Just southwest of the door area, west of Wayland, over the Sandy Pines area. That is kind of where we're watching just a little bit. Nothing, again, doesn't scream tornado to me right now, but just something we are watching just in case. So, yeah, it's just a little spin ups that could potentially produce a brief weak tornado or at least enhanced wind potential. It's kind of where we're watching there, southwest of door. That continues to move off to the northeast. So, just a heads up for you in the door area. Not going to say it's tornadic, but maybe some enhanced wind potential there in your area in the next several minutes. Let's go back to reflectivity. And I will say, kind of try to outline it here, but you can see just northwest of the Sandy Pines area, we are watching what could be a little bit of a bookend signature trying to develop there. Again, that is not always, but sometimes you can get heavier, stronger winds or sometimes a brief spin-up tornado in that. I'm not seeing anything to that effect right now, but just something we are watching. Tay from Facebook saying, appreciate y'all. Well, you're certainly very welcome for that. That's what we do here as West Michigan Weather during these times, is do our very best to keep everyone safe if we're able to. So appreciate the kind words there. So as we continue to watch this strong to potentially severe thunderstorm moving across Allegan County now, and a heads up for those of you eventually in southern Kent County, if this storm continues its current trajectory and strength, a severe thunderstorm warning may eventually be required there as well, or at the very least a special weather statement as these storms continue to move off to the east and northeast. If you are in the Allegan area, Not seeing anything super impressive there, but definitely some heavier downpours there as well. South of the Allegan area, that'll be heading towards the Otsego and Plainwell areas eventually, up towards the Martin area as well. I'm not seeing anything super impressive on velocity or anything like that. I do think the stronger portion of this storm is more in the northern Allegan County at this point, but just something we are continuing to watch there. Probably some heavier downpours there, heading into southeastern Allegan County as well. And portions of southern Allegan County do remain in a severe thunderstorm warning. It looks like we got a new update that might be coming in here. And that is a severe thunderstorm warning starting to come down the wire now for Allegan, Barry, and Kent and Ottawa counties. I'm pulling that up right now in our system here. Okay, so the severe thunderstorm warning now has just been issued for portions of Allegan, Barry, Kent, and Ottawa counties. That goes until 9 o'clock p.m. this evening. So I'm going to give me just a moment here. I will pull up the warning text here. I will say the good news is they have dropped the tornado possible tag from this new warning. They have dropped the tornado possible tag. This is now primarily a damaging straight line wind issue at this point. So that is a little bit of good news, I can tell you, but we still have the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with these storms as they continue to push off to the northeast. Pulling up the warning text here. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Allegan County, southern Kent County, southeastern Ottawa County, and northwestern Barry County in southwest Michigan. This warning again goes until 9 o'clock p.m. this evening. At 8:05 p.m., severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from 9 miles south of the Hudsonville area to 7 miles southwest of the Wayland area, moving to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. So it looks like we did slow down our storm motion just a little bit. Remember earlier it was 50 miles per hour, so we're slowed down just a touch, down to 40 miles per hour. Primary hazard as it's continued to bend this evening is the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Source on this continues to be radar indicated. I have not seen any official reports of damage yet, but we're continuing to watch that behind the scenes. Could continue to impact and continues to be the potential for damage to roofs, siding, and trees as a result of the strong to damaging wind potential. In some locations impacted by the severe thunderstorm warning include the Kentwood area, the Wayland area, the Lowell area, Middleville, Caledonia, Freeport. If you're near the Gerald R. Ford International Airport area, you are in the severe thunderstorm warning as well. Over towards Dorr, the Irving area. Over towards Hopkins, the Moline area, Dutton, Cutlerville, the Burnups area, Bradley, Green Lake, the Alaska area, in the Alto area, and Byron Center. For your protection, if you are in the severe thunderstorm warning, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Torrential rainfall is occurring with these storms and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. And this was issued at 8:05 this evening and goes until 9 o'clock. So that is going to be the next hour or so. A little less than an hour, I will say. So again, the strongest portion of this storm at this point is approaching the Dorr area as I speak. It's right on your doorstep moving in. It will be in the Wayland area again over the next several minutes. Eventually towards the Gaines area, Middleville, Caledonia, and eventually up towards the Lowell Charter Township area and Lowell as well. So again, if you are in this orange polygon that I am outlining here, that is your severe thunderstorm warning. The best thing to do right now is get inside that sturdy structure. If you can, get to the lowest floor of that structure, and best bet is that interior room on the lowest floor as well. Just out of cautionary measures, just with the high winds potentially with this storm. We just want you to be safe is all. So we'll go to velocity real quick. Currently we're on reflectivity. That's the how hard is it raining mode. We will go over to velocity. Excuse me. And I will say we are seeing the highest damaging wind potential near the door area. That's where we're seeing the brightest greens come across. All the Hilliers and Hopkins area, you're still seeing some gustier winds. That will eventually move towards the Wayland, the Moline area, up towards the Corinth area, up towards Cutlerville as well. And that will eventually again be towards Gaines and the Caledonia areas with time as well. Over towards Middleville, the Irving area, and eventually Freeport and Lowell as well with time as well. So we do have the most recent severe thunderstorm warning this evening. Includes portions of northeastern Allegan, northwestern Barry, into southern Kent counties and the far southeastern portions of Ottawa County as well. To the north of that, if you're in the Grand Rapids, Wyoming, over towards Grand Rapids, the Granville area, this is not currently severe, but we are likely seeing some heavier downpours there as well. And in fact, we do even have a little pink pixel there. So maybe some small hail as well up towards the Granville area. Again, nothing severe with this activity. I don't see anything to indicate damaging winds or anything like that at this time, but it's something we are continuing to watch as well. Just some heavier downpours, maybe some small hail up toward. That'll be moving into the Grand Rapids area over the next several minutes. Over towards Walker as well. So again, but our primary focus this evening, the reason we are live with you here, is this severe thunderstorm warning that is now in the Allegan, Barry, Kent, and Ottawa counties, Ottawa County. So that goes until 9 o'clock. This warning off to the southwest for Allegan County, that will drop off the screen here over the next few minutes. So if you're in the Allegan areas, the storm's leaving you right now. But if you're in the Douglas, Lead, Gaines areas, you are clear from this. We can likely give you the all clear from this severe thunderstorm. We do have additional shower and storm activity that will be moving through throughout the evening into the early overnight hours especially. But the severe weather threat will kind of slow down over the next little bit. But I don't want to give you the total all clear yet, but I do think this little complex of storms that has gone severe, that will probably be about it for severe weather this evening, but we will continue to watch just in case. But again, our focus continues to be this severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for, again, mainly now northeastern Allegan County and northwestern Barry County, over towards southern Kent County and the far southeastern portion there of Ottawa counties, the Ottawa County area. If you're in Hudsonville or Zeeland or Granville, you're not in this severe thunderstorm warning. Kentwood, technically the center point of Kentwood is not in the severe thunderstorm warning, but I know there's some areas south side of Kentwood, you may have a Kentwood address. You're technically in this severe thunderstorm warning. But again, this is primarily a southern Kent County issue. If you're in Grand Rapids, you're not in this severe thunderstorm warning. I know it's probably raining cats and dogs out there in Grand Rapids right about now, but this is not severe. Yeah, this is primarily a southern Kent County issue in northeastern Allegan and eventually northwestern Barry County with time as well. So I do think this warning I'm outlining with my mouse here for Allegan County, that will drop off the screen momentarily, as it is 8:15 and that warning is expiring right now. That will drop off the screen here momentarily. So our primary focus continues to be this storm that is blasting into the Wayland area as we speak. If you are driving along 131 between, let's say, Kentwood and Wayland, just south of Wayland towards like the Hopkinsburg area, we'll say, if you're on 131, or if you have to go on 131 in this corridor, if I were you, I would hold off on that for a little bit if you are able to. I know sometimes it's not an option, but if you can, hold off a little bit, let the storm blow on through. It is moving off to the northeast at around 40 miles per hour, so it probably will not stick around terribly long, but just let it pass on by and just go on up to the northeast. So, okay. So, I will say down in Plainwell, you're likely seeing some heavier downpours, but no nothing terribly severe. We have a new special weather statement coming in now. And this is a special weather statement. This is for the southern part of this complex of storms that hasn't been severe, but we do have a special weather statement coming in now for the potential of pea-sized hail and 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And that's for this cell portion of the complex we have been watching as well, towards Allegan, the Otsego area, over towards Plainwell and Martin as well. This continues to move off to the east. You'll have the potential for 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts and pea-sized hail. So not severe, this southern portion of the complex, but just be aware of that in the Orangeville, Prairieville, over towards Hastings and Nashville, and the Assyria area as well. Just be aware we do have some gusty storms moving through there as well. Not currently severe, but we will continue to monitor this just in case. But again, our strongest portion of this storm, which currently maintains our severe thunderstorm warning until 9 o'clock this evening, is in northeastern portions of Allegan County, just blown past the Door area over towards Wayland. And now will be moving towards southern Kent County, the Gaines area over towards Caledonia. Northwestern Berry County, that'll be towards Middleville. And now eventually towards the Lowell and Freeport areas with time. So again, if you're in southern Kent County, northeastern Allegan County, and northwestern Berry counties, your best bet is to get inside the sturdy structure, preferably on the lowest floor you can get there, away from those windows. If you can, get in that interior room just for the continued potential of damaging wind gusts there approaching 60 miles per hour. I'll zoom in a little bit. We're going to pop back off of reflectivity, go towards velocity. And I will say, as it gets closer to the radar, I'm not seeing anything extremely impressive there on velocity. If there's going to be high winds, I do think it's going to be in the Wayland area right now. That is where we're seeing I would say, greatest potential for damaging wind gusts. Maybe some wind up towards Gaines as well in southwestern Kent County. But I am not seeing anything extremely impressive, which is good news. But that does not mean we still don't have gusty winds, so you'll still want to be inside. Let me go behind the scenes look here. And we'll go towards, take a look at the consumer's map. We'll say in Allegan County, there's not too many power outages, but we do have a few isolated outages there. Near north of the Allegan area, towards the South Monterey area. East of Dunningville, we do have an air outage, kind of near the Dumont Lake area, excuse me. If you know where that is in Allegan County, there's a power outage being indicated there. Otherwise, just a couple small isolated outages as well. This is per the consumer's energy outage map, so we're not looking behind the scenes here. So we're not seeing too much in the way of outages of this storm, which is good news. But still, some outages, so that could have been a sign of some gusty winds earlier back in central Allegan County. But we're not seeing the widespread outages, which is good news. So while winds could still be gusty, the fact we're not seeing widespread outages, that makes it less likely we are at severe level of winds. I'm not seeing any reports either. My friends at the National Weather Service, that is good news as well. So Again, still play it safe, still get inside that sturdy structure, preferably on the lowest floor, away from windows. But at this point, I'm not seeing any reports yet to indicate we've had severe winds yet. That is good news, but still don't want to assume there's nothing going on, and then turns out there is. So just play it safe for the next less than 40 minutes now. Let the storm pass on by. And then we'll have some additional shower and thunderstorm activity through the night. But as we continue to head later in the evening here, right now it is 8:21 p.m. As we continue to head later into the evening, the already limited instability we'll have will continue to back off. We'll lose any limited daytime instability we've had. Now kind of back off our severe weather threat, head towards more of a gusty wind and sub-severe wind gusts probably, and heavy rainmaker, which we do need the rain across this area. This will not be a drought buster rainfall by any means, but we will take any rain we are able to get tonight as we are heading back towards a dry pattern, although it will be cooler as we head into the middle of the week, starting tomorrow, going through Thursday before it does look like we start to warm back up a little bit. So zooming back in our severe thunderstorm warning. If anyone is watching in the Leyland area, you're likely seeing the brunt of this storm right now. Very heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and lightning. That will be heading into the Gaines area over the next few minutes, eventually towards the Caledonia and Middleville areas as well. So, and again, if anyone has any storm reports to pass along to us, those would be greatly appreciated here. I will post a link in chat right now on our website to where you can submit those storm reports once again, and that is going to be www.westmichiganweather.net/report. Again, that is going to be www.westmichiganweather.net/report. That is where we have a link to where that'll take you to a form where you can submit those storm reports to us. We would greatly appreciate those reports. You can also submit them to us on social media as well. Let us know in the chat if you're watching and have a storm report. Let us know what you're seeing, but do so safely. We don't want you in danger outside trying to get like a wind gust measurement or something like that. I would rather you do so, have a damage report after the fact, like if you have tree limbs down or something like that. I'd rather see that after these storms have passed than have yourself in danger trying to submit those storm reports to us. There are trained spotters out there that if they have anything of significance to pass along to us, they will report it to the National Weather Service. We'll be able to see that here as well. But don't put yourself in the thick of the storm if you're not trained to do so. Just play it safe. Again, we would rather see the damage after the fact than have the general public put themselves in danger to submit a report to us. They have updated our severe thunderstorm warning once again. And I will say, if you are in southeastern Ottawa County, heads up in southeastern Ottawa County, there was only that small section that was in the warning, but they have canceled that portion of the warning in southeastern Ottawa County. The storm which prompted the warning have moved out of the warned area, therefore the warning has been canceled for you in far southeastern Ottawa County. We continue with our severe thunderstorm warning for northeastern Allegan, southern Kent, and northwestern Barrie counties. That continues until 9 o'clock this evening. At 8:21 p.m., severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from 7 miles south of the Wyoming area to 7 miles west of the Caledonia area to near Wayland. And that's moving off to northeast at 40 miles per hour. Our primary hazard continues to be the potential for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That continues to be radar indicated. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include Kentwood, the Wayland area. Like I said, you've been in the thick of it for the past few minutes. I'll be heading up towards the Lowell area, Middleville, Caledonia, the Freeport area. If you're near the Gerald R. Ford International Airport area, you're in this warning as well. Over towards Dorr, the Irving area, Moline, Dutton, Cutlerville, eventually towards Bradley, Green Lake, the Alaska community, Alto, Byron Center, and Cascade. If you are in this warning, torrential for your protection, move to the interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Torrential rainfall is occurring with these storms. It may produce flash flooding. It may lead to potential for some flash flooding issues. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. I will also note they have placed a tornado possible tag back on this warning as well. So that means that tornado possible tag, that means there's signs, at least at the National Weather Service, that they are hinting that there may be some rotation in this storm that could have the potential to produce a brief spin-up tornado. Again, tornadoes, there's obviously that very low chance. We've never really, not really seeing too much to see an immediate tornado potential looking at radar behind the scenes here. In fact, I'll flip it over here for you as well in just a second. Take a look. I'm not really seeing much to indicate a tornado threat at this point, but as it's being indicated by the National Weather Service, we're still going to communicate that to you. So we never want to dismiss that. So again, I'm not seeing anything immediately not really seeing anything immediately concerning in terms of a tornado threat. But as they have that tornado possible tag, that's something we still want to pay attention to. Go up and tilt behind the scenes here. I'm still not really seeing all that much, so hopefully that remains the case and we don't see a spin-up tornado. But just something to be aware of, they have placed a tornado possible tag back on the storm as it moves now, as it begins to move out of Allegan County over the next several minutes and into southern Kent County and northwestern Berry County. So again, this Wayland area, this strongest part of this storm is beginning to depart your area. If you're in the Door area, you're technically still under this severe thunderstorm warning. However, the strongest part of this storm has cleared your area to the east. However, still remain inside for the next few minutes, just with the potential for lightning still. Just want to play it safe, remain inside. But if you're in the Wayland area, this is departing. It's moving into the Gaines area as I speak here. You're likely seeing heavy downpours and gustier winds. Cutlerville area, it's right on top of you. Actually, scans coming in. I will say, as it's starting to head right over to the radar site here, near the airport in Kent County. As it's heading over the airport, you will see the data kind of gets a little bit jumbled as it gets closer to the radar. It gets a little noisy. That is something we'll have to keep in mind as well if we see any rotation or something like that. It just gets a little bit more noisy near the radar. What we can do about that, now we'll go in just a second, is we can look at surrounding radars to kind of get an idea of what might be happening with these storms. So we'll go to the Detroit radar. And these storms aren't awfully tall today either. But I probably won't be able to get a good slice of it with it being this close to the radar. But I'm only seeing these storms, pull up echo tops behind the scenes here. Yeah, they're only like, 25,000 feet, so not terribly tall storms either. So again, these are just kind of your lower top storms, just with the shear in place and the limited instability we do have. They kind of have the ability to get a little ruckus with the wind gusts, and with just enough shear in the lower levels, we've seen them produce a little bit of spin from time to time. Remember, when they were over the lake, we've had confirmed water spout reports. So it shows there's just enough spin out there to kind of let these storms spin a little bit. And that's why with the tornado possible tag, just in case we do have the potential of a brief spin up tornado. Again, it'll be on the weaker side. This is definitely not the day where we expect strong tornadoes or anything like that. And we probably won't see this severe threat last too much longer once we get these storms through here. So we'll go back here, zoom in on this storm. We'll take a look at velocity again real quick, actually. Just in case. I'm not really seeing anything extremely concerning to me. And I'm looking behind the scenes at another radar source just in case, too. I'm not really seeing anything extremely concerning to me in terms of tornado potential. That doesn't, again, we don't want to completely dismiss it, but at this point, I'm not seeing anything. Might be if I play. Okay, so again, I'm not seeing anything screaming at me rotation. And we're kind of in that spot of the radar where if it's directly north and south of these storm motions, it's called a zero isodop, as they call it. So it makes it kind of look weaker than it might actually be, as well as we get to this point in the radar. Unfortunately, there's not really much we can do about it. We'll just have to let the storms pass on through. And then as it gets off to the east, we'll start to get a better view again as it gets out of what's called the zero isodop zone. So just something to keep in mind as well. We'll take a look in the Detroit radar, and I will say if there's going to be gustier winds, it's going to be over the Gaines area, over towards Caledonia as well. Again, this is a higher up scan, but if there's going to be high wind, it's in general where it's going to be, I think, based on current radar data from Detroit to White Lake to be specific there in Oakland County. But we'll go back to radar, go back to there might be, this could be what's called a downburst going on there. Kind of near over Grand Rapids right now, kind of towards the Charter Township area. North side of Grand Rapids, could be a little downburst going on there. Nothing super significant, but maybe a little bit of gustier wind there too. As well, some heavy downpours. So nothing severe up that way at that point, just something we're seeing here on the radar. But again, the strongest portion of this storm, which is responsible for our severe thunderstorm warning this evening, is across southern Kent County, moving out of northeastern Allegan County as I talk to you here in the northwestern portions of Berry County. We also do continue with our special weather statement that is a step below a severe thunderstorm warning, just letting us know, in this case, that hey, there's a stronger thunderstorm we're watching. Not severe, but just a heads up. And this is for, again, 40 mile per hour wind gusts and pea-sized hail. In this section, the strongest parts of this storm is moving into the Orangeville area as I speak to you, over towards Prairieville. And that will be eventually towards the Hastings, Nashville, and the Syra area as well. So just a heads up there. Nothing severe at this point. I'll take a look at velocity there too, just to make sure we're not missing something. And I don't see anything tight in terms of rotation or anything that screams very high wind to me at this point in time. But we're going to continue to watch this as well, just in case. Just in case it does flare up a little bit more. But at this point, I will say lightning is not quite as intense as it was earlier. In fact, we're really only indicating lightning kind of towards the airport area, over towards the Dutton area. You're near the Davenport University main campus there near M37 and M6. If you're in that area, we're kind of seeing some lightning back towards M6 and Paris Avenue Southeast there, kind of indicating some potential lightning. But even this has kind of come down from when it was earlier over the lake, especially and into near the lake shore. So that is good news as well. We want to continue to see that decline. That's generally a sign that our storms will be continuing to weaken as we head later into the evening hours here. But at this point, we continue with our severe thunderstorm warning until 9 o'clock there for northeastern Allegan County, northwestern Berry, and especially southern Kent counties for the potential of 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And we still maintain the tornado possible tag, which, based on what I've been seeing on radar, I think is more of a precautionary thing. nothing wrong with that, but not really seeing anything looking to be that screams tornado to me at this point. Still, as a matter of fact, I'm not seeing any official reports yet from our friends at the National Weather Service, which is good news. We want that to continue to be the case, of course, because that means if we get any reports, that means there's some kind of damage or gusty winds out there. I have not seen anything from our friends at the National Weather Service, which continues to be good news. So, scenes notes of Owen. Okay. Here, just doing some behind the scenes stuff. Okay. So, just note as these storms get closer to Owen here, he's in northeastern Barry County over here in the Woodland area. He might be joining us here if these storms continue to maintain their strength. So, okay. So, alright. So, we continue with this severe thunderstorm warning for the next 23 minutes across portions of mainly now southern Kent County and in northwestern Barry County. I will say northeast Allegan. Give me a few more minutes. I can give an all clear for northeastern Allegan County. Excuse me. Give me a few more minutes. I can give you an all clear, but I will say the strongest part of the storm is left Allegan County. It is now more of a northwestern Barry County issue. We will have to see what I will say. We do have another, at least heavier shower. I'm not seeing any lightning being indicated, at least on our system here. But another heavier shower that'll be moving into the Grand Haven area momentarily. So you'll be seeing a good downpour there for just a little bit. And no lightning being indicated on our system, at least, on our radar system, but just something to be aware of. We are continuing to watch some additional shower activity. It's kind of flaring up over the last little while across Lake Michigan, and that will eventually move off towards the east and will provide at least for some rain opportunities along the I-94 corridor, hopefully. Unfortunately, this is not going to be your steady rain that we really need. It'll be the on-off type of deal when it comes to drought potential. So, let's say the lightning output continues to decrease with these storms. That continues to be good news. That gives me hope that kind of backing off on the storm strength a little bit, which is what we want to see. Again, we weren't even in an outlook area from the Storm Prediction Center for severe weather. Let me take radar off real quick so I can show you. Again, we're not even in a, we believe we'll have an update coming out in a little bit, but given it's already been ongoing, they're not going to pull the trigger on a marginal risk, I don't think. So we remain in a general thunderstorm risk today, as we've had all day. But they were mentioning in earlier discussions the potential there for a couple isolated damaging wind gusts instances across lower Michigan. That's kind of what's been expected. So we weren't totally ruling out the possibility of a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. That's what seems to have transpired this evening. Again, we don't have any official reports of wind gusts or damage from our friends at the National Weather Service. So hopefully that remains the case. I'll take a look again behind the scenes at the outage map, and I'm still not seeing all that much. Maybe a couple of very isolated outages across Allegan County, but nothing really all that impressive there either. It was good news. Like, we're still maintaining that outage near the Dumont Lake area, but nothing really all that impressive in terms of outages either, which is good news. Hopefully that continues here to be the case. So, just a minute, guys. I'm gonna set up just in case we do need to take Owen live here. We're gonna get that already set up here. So, let me just for a second. Just getting already set up if we need to take it. Okay, there we go. So, all right. Okay, so we do continue on behind the scenes setup here. Okay, there we go. Severe thunderstorm warning continues for the next less than 20 minutes now. Again, officially Northeast Allegheny County are still in the warning, but this storm's really getting out of there now and is into southern Kent County. Take a look at that down in southern Allegheny County. I will not say that's tight rotation. In fact, it could be kind of divergence or something of that nature as well, but potentially a little bit of rotation near the Hickory Corners area over towards Turner's Corner. It's not especially tight. I don't think that's an immediate tornado threat, but that is something we will watch over the next several minutes as well. Otherwise, if I zoom out, we are indicating as it's getting out of the zero isodop area, we are indicating we're getting back a little bit brighter reds. Still nothing that screams super intense to me, but still some potential for gustier winds there in southeast in Kent County, kind of near the Harris Creek and Bound Center or Bone Center area. Probably Bound Center. I apologize, I mispronounced that, but kind of near that area, we are starting to see a little bit brighter red come back, so some gustier winds. That's moving into the Freeport area as we speak. That will eventually move towards Hastings. And then eventually towards the Clarksville, Carlton, and Lake Odessa areas as well. Just an early heads up there over towards Woodland as well. So we will have to see what the National Weather Service does. I will say the strongest part of this storm, at least for wind, is starting to leave our severe thunderstorm warning area. So we will have to see what the National Weather Service decides to do in the next few minutes, whether they're going to extend their severe thunderstorm warning into portions of Ionia, Berry, and potentially Eaton counties. We'll have to see what our friends at the Weather Service decides to do in the next few minutes. But we are watching some signs in southern Berry County. That is where we're going to be watching perhaps a little bit of rotation. Does not scream tornadic to me. In fact, I would almost argue that's more of a convergent signature or something too, but it's something we are watching near the Hickory Corners area just in case. But again, there's no severe warnings. This is not a severe storm, but it's just something we are watching there in southern Berry County just in case. We'll go back at least activity. Otherwise, just some heavier downpours. We're not even seeing much in the way of lightning being detected, at least on our system near the Prairieville area there. That'll eventually be moving towards, especially south of Hastings, eventually towards the Nashville and Assyria areas. That is where we'll be watching for the potential, at least of gustier winds. So now we are moving. For those of you in the Lowell Charter Township area, over towards Freeport and towards Lowell as well, that is where we'll be watching next for the potential. The strongest part of this storm. There's going to be damaging wind potential. I would say it's going to be in this area. I'm highlighting with my mouse. That's there still where we're maintaining a little bit of a bow shape We'll go to velocity just to confirm my suspicions. And again, velocity really not looking all that impressive, but we're still watching some potential for some gustier wind there. Let me just in case storm relative velocity on my other system. Okay, yeah, nothing really all that impressive there either, which is good news. So I would imagine, based on current trends, I will say lightning still a bit on the lower end. We do still have some strikes, but not as impressive as it was back off to the west earlier. So hopefully that continues to be the trend and we can eventually get rid of our severe warnings. I will say we do have a strike or two being detected now near the Grand Haven area of this cell we've been watching, going towards Fruitport as well. This is not severe by any stretch of the imagination, but just some heavier downpours. Maybe a couple of lightning strikes there too. And then same with these other cells, kind of over the lake. That'll be continuing to move off to the east as well. So if you're north of I-96, really, if you're in like Greenville, Belding, the Sydney area, you're just seeing some light rain activity at this point. Nothing of real significance at this time. We will be continuing to watch throughout the evening. But we have to see what our friends at the National Weather Service decides to do. All right, we do have a wind damage report coming in from Allegan County. This is from the 911 call center there in Allegan County. We do have full reports of downed trees across central Allegan County. This was at 7:51 p.m., so a little bit earlier this evening. This is a time estimated by Doppler radar, so at least some reports of trees down across central portions of Allegan County back when we had the strong, severe thunderstorms moving through there. Full reports of downed trees across central portions of Allegan County. I don't see any reports of it. It looks like this is just now starting to come down the wire. And this is a new severe thunderstorm warning, so they are opting to maintain our severe thunderstorm warning. This now includes portions of more Berry County, mainly far northern portions of the county, into a southeastern Kent County, mainly around the Lowell area. This also goes into southern and central portions of Ionia County, and into far northwestern portions of Eaton County. This severe thunderstorm warning will be with you here until 9:30 p.m. this evening. And this continues to be for the potential 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts till 9:30 p.m. this evening. I will lead off the warning text with you here. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning there for southeastern Kent County, northern Berry County, Ionia County, mainly central and southern portions of the county, and northwestern Eaton County, again the far northwestern portions of Eaton County. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning will be with you here until 9:30 p.m. this evening. At 8:46 p.m., severe thunderstorms were located along a line extending from 6 miles south of the Lowell area to near the Freeport area. And this is moving off to the east at 35 miles per hour, so more of an easterly motion again, and we are slowing down a bit more, down to 35 miles per hour now. Again, primary hazard to be 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That's really been the primary hazard with these storms all evening, is 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Continues to be radar indicated as our source, although as I mentioned just a bit ago, we do have trees down, at least a few reports of those across central portions of Allegan County. An impact, expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations potentially impacted include the Ionia area, the Portland area over towards Lowell, Middleville, Lake Odessa, the Saranac area, Freeport, once again the Gerald R. Ford International Airport area, although I will say the strongest part of that storm is clearing the area now, Sebawa area, Lyons, Muir, Sunfield, Mulliken, Powamo, Clarksville, the Woodbury area, Alto, Alaska community as well, and Cascade as well. For your protection, if you are in the areas I mentioned, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of the building. Torrential rainfall is also occurring in these storms, which may lead to some flash flooding issues. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. Again, this is primarily for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and once again, they have dropped our tornado possible tag, which was in effect a little bit earlier. That's been dropped off again, so that's good news. So this is primarily a straight line wind issue, as I've primarily been indicating with you here for the last little bit. So we'll go back to, again, the heaviest part of this storm is moving through the Lowell Charter Township into the Freeport areas as I speak with you here. It will be in the Clarksville area. If anyone is joining us from Clarksville, that is where that will be with you here in the next couple of minutes. Over towards Saranac as well. Lake Odessa, the Carlton area as well. Woodwind is just outside the severe thunderstorm warning, but this will also be with you here in the next several minutes. Eventually, you'll be heading towards the Ionia area, near the Lyons area, over towards Portland, Sunfield, and the Mulliken area as well. Over towards Pewamo, and while not in the severe thunderstorm warning officially, the Westphalia area, we'll be watching as well down the line if the storm continues on its current trajectory and strength. So we're going to go ahead and go back to early we're on the reflectivity, or how hard is it raining. We're going to go over to our wind mode, to how hard is the wind blowing in which direction. And we do continue to see our brighter reds near heading into the Clarksville area, heading towards Carlton as well. But I am seeing a few brighter pixels there near the Hastings area. Maybe around 40 to 50. Maybe a little bit higher there. But some gusty winds as well moving through Barry County. We continue with our special weather statement south of our severe thunderstorm warnings. This continues for another 20 minutes for southern portions of Barry County. That is where we're watching for some gusty winds under severe limits as well. But at this point, our strongest part of the storm, responsible for our severe thunderstorm warning, stretches from roughly the Carlton area up through Clarksville into the Lowell area. The most impressive part of the warning, I feel, is from the I-96 corridor south. If there's going to be damaging winds, they'll be in that area. Let me go a little bit higher up from the Detroit radar, and again, I agree with that potential. Kind of south of the Lowell Charter Township area, a bit higher up, that's where we're seeing the highest winds there. And that's what will be moving in the Clarksville, Saranac, Lake Odessa direction over the next several minutes as well. So let me just keep going on. In case, I will mention that Owen will be joining us here in just a few minutes. So we'll be getting Owen with us here in just a few minutes. Let's go back to the Grand Rapids radar with us though. And you're in Lowell Charter Township. You're still seeing heavier rainfall, probably some gustier winds as well. And that same goes the Elmdale community, Freeport. You're still in heavier downpours as well. Clarksville, you're about to get it in the next couple of minutes as well. So let me go back to velocity on the Grand Rapids radar. And what we can do is we can adjust the tilt. Go a little bit higher up in our storm just to make sure we're not missing something behind the scenes here. I will say as we go higher up, it'll be a bit more delayed, and I'm not really, at least from the Grand Rapids perspective, on the tilts we do have available, I'm not really seeing, I will say it gets a little bit brighter with height, but this is also a little bit more delayed. So, behind the scenes of our other software, that can get me a little bit higher view as well. I will say if I look higher up into the storm, I am seeing some higher velocities like 40, 50 miles per hour, higher up. Not, this would suggest this is not all reaching the surface, but at least on a radar perspective. But that does not mean we don't have gusty winds. Doesn't mean they're not potentially damaging. So that's why we continue with our severe thunderstorm warning. I will say for those of you in southeastern Kent County, we do continue with our severe thunderstorm warning, but I do think the strongest winds is now clearing Kent County and will be more into southern Ionia County, especially over the next several minutes, into portions of central Ionia County. Really, from Ionia County, if you're M20 located along M21 and point south, that is where we're watching for the potential of damaging winds, especially. North of there, we're not really seeing anything that suggests you're active in the severe thunderstorm warning. So if you're like in the Orleans area, over towards Belding, or the Woods Corners area as well, you're not in this severe thunderstorm warning. This is primarily a central and southern Ionia County issue in the northern, far northern portions of Berry County, and eventually far northwestern Eaton County as well. But primarily, I think southern Ionia County and into the northern portions of Berry and Eaton County, as I just mentioned. That is really where the strongest part of this storm will continue to be going through. And that's a heads up. Eventually, if the storm does continue, this will become more of a potentially Clinton County, maybe Lansing area issue as well, if we continue at its current trajectory and strength. So again, I will say as we get a little bit further away from the radar, if I pull velocity back, I will say as we are getting higher up again from the radar, we are starting to see the colors pick back up a little bit. We're seeing the brighter reds come back as we get further away from the radar. That's just showing what's higher up in the storm in terms of wind. Like we are at, if I look real quickly here, we're around 1,000 feet from the Grand Rapids radar site now. They're at the airport, Gerald R. Ford International Airport there in Kent County, where our radar is for the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids. But as it gets a little bit further away, we'll start being able to see what's higher up in the storm and what's potentially being brought down to the surface by the heavier downpours. And I will say we're starting to see the brighter reds come back around 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, at least being indicated by radar. As that gets higher up, that's not necessarily what's being reflected at the surface either. Let me take a look at the consumer's power outage map. We'll say we do have a few isolated outages in northwestern Ionia County. Nothing widespread, just a few small isolated outages. Just something to be aware of there. So we're not seeing anything as of yet really in our primarily severe thunderstorm warning area. That does not mean there's not high winds. It's just not necessarily high enough to really cause power outages, the power outages we generally use as a sign of, hey, these winds are strong or gusty, they're taking down trees and the power lines and whatnot. We're not really seeing too much of that, which is good news. So, okay. So, checking behind the scenes here. Still not really seeing anything. The last report we've had was from Central Allegheny County of 4 reports of downed trees across that central portion of Allegheny County. That was a little bit earlier this evening. So definitely some gusty winds there. So otherwise, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of reports yet, which of course is very good news. That continue to be the case here. I'm gonna go ahead and start loading the. All right. Hello, Owen.
Jacob. Just let me know when you're ready.
Yep, I'm just getting you loaded in right now. So,
Alrighty.
all right. Yeah, looks like we have you now, Owen. So,
All right. Good evening, everyone. We are here in Woodland, Michigan, just south of the current severe thunderstorm warning. If I flip my camera around here, we're going to be looking off to the west. Maybe. Here we go.
I'll switch you full for just a second, actually. So, there you go.
We are looking off to the west here. Um, Lightning activity has definitely decreased quite a bit from earlier, only looking at about one flash maybe every minute now. But just to give you some ground truth of what's going on out here tonight, we've got anemometer set up, so wind speed gauge, and just this live view here from the side of the road. So anything that does come of this storm, we'll be able to show you guys right here live. And it does look like that southern edge of the cell does have some of the higher velocities. So when the storm does come this way, we'll probably see the full potential of it, at least at this. Yeah, Jacob, feel free to put me wherever you'd like, and I'll let you know once things start picking up a little bit.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Owen. We're gonna go back to radar. We will have Owen's view there on the side here, so we'll see that as it continues to come in here. So, Owen, also, if you do have to interrupt me, just let me know. I'll get you unmuted on the
Okay.
broadcast side. But okay, so we're continuing to watch our strong to severe thunderstorms moving across portions of West Michigan this evening, especially. Really, it's been I-96 South. That's where we've primarily been watching this evening. And as Owen indicated just a moment ago, we are watching for the lightning activity, as mentioned, has decreased a little bit. Remember, it was a lot more active as it moved on shore there from Lake Michigan. And then as it decreased, which is generally a sign that these storms are starting to weaken a little bit, but we're still enough strength, especially in the winds, potentially, to where we've been maintaining our severe thunderstorm warnings, which continue for the next less than a half hour now, around 26 minutes until 9:30. For mainly at this point, although Kent County, you're technically still in the severe thunderstorm warning, but we'll say the strongest portion of our storms have pushed out of Kent County, really into southern Ionia counties and into northern Berry County, eventually into far northwestern portions there of Eaton County. We'll go over to our wind velocity again real quick though. And I will say, again, it's also getting a little bit further out from the radar, but we have seen our brighter colors start to return a little bit. It looks like wind might be starting to pick up a little bit there. From Owen's
Yeah,
here.
Jacob. Wind just picked up real quick. We're up around 20 miles an hour. Went from a dead calm, and now things are starting to blow around a little bit. So
Yep.
we'll see how things progress.
We took your view full there, and yep, as you can see, as the winds begin to push into the woodland area there, we're indicating on radar behind the scenes here real quick. Well, I will say there's a few pixels to the south of Woodland there. I'm seeing a few 40, 45 mile per hour pixels there. Actually, let me take it back.
Yeah, we'll see what mixes down here. Like I said, right now we're sitting at about a max of 20. So that's just over the past minute here, and we're still a little bit out ahead of it right now. So we'll
Yeah,
see what we get.
yeah, that's coming in right as we speak. So put you back to the side here real quick. Go back to reflectivity fully. There we go. Okay, so again, the strongest portion of this storm, I will say, is primarily in the southern Ionia County, but in two portions of northern Barry as well. In southern Ionia County, especially really from Lake Odessa north, we're still seeing that little bit of a Boeing signature on radar. And that is sometimes where you get your stronger winds when that starts to happen. And we'll go back to velocity action real quick. And yeah, again, this is not extremely impressive, but just something we are watching behind the scenes as well, just in case we do have some. If it does pick back up a little bit, remember it's higher up, so not all of it's necessarily reaching the surface, which, as Owen just mentioned, we've only seen around 20 ish as right now, but
Yep, still right around 20 here.
so okay, you can kind of see the leaves kind of getting blown around, but nothing super impressive. It's something we'll continue to watch over the next several minutes as these storms push through. Let's go back to reflectivity here. So in the next few minutes, you see the winds going. You'll see the rain start to pick up there as well over the next several minutes. But again, if you're in the Lake Odessa area, rain's starting to pick up there. Same goes for Saranac area as well. Just check up there velocity just in case. Alright, nothing too concerning there. Okay, but if you're in the Saranac, Lowell areas, you're still seeing some heavier rainfall. But, okay, but really from Saranac down towards Lake Odessa, you're seeing the heavy rainfall and gusty winds. Now we'll be moving into the woodland area there. Pretty much right now, you'll be starting to see that pick up. Then the non-severe section down towards like the Nashville area, it's pushing through Hastings. Just been pushing through Hastings there over the last few minutes. That will be moving into the Nashville area momentarily, and I'll go to velocity just in case. And again, still some potential for sub-severe wind gusts down in that region, along with heavier downpours. So back to reflectivity there, and then outside of that, I'll do a full view real quick across all of West Michigan. And you can see outside of this initial complex of strong to potentially severe thunderstorms, we do have additional showers and storms developing as our cold front continues to move through the area. Some additional showers and storms going off to the west over the lake, northwest over the lake. That will continue to move into the areas we had for the throughout the rest of this evening into the overnight hours. We'll say the severe threat will kind of fade as we head into the overnight hours, as our already limited instability will continue to kind of get the cap with time overnight. That'll kind of limit our severe threat, our already limited severe level potential, kind of shut that down, but we'll still have some pockets of heavier downpours, maybe some lightning. And I'm still not going to fully rule out some severe wind gusts at that point, but don't think our severe threat, which really we weren't expecting too much of, we'll probably be done with that in the next couple of hours at most. So,
And Jacob, we are up to about 30 here now. Um, Lightning activity has picked up a little bit as we've been able to see more of the storm rather than just the front, but still nothing of concern as far as I can tell.
right, thank you for that, Owen. So, we continue. So, wind gusts have picked up a little bit into the 30-mile-per-hour ish range there in the woodland areas. You can see the lightning too. It's picked up just a tiny bit. Nothing Still nothing extremely concerning on the lightning front, but something we'll have to continue to watch as it moves in here. Okay, look behind the scenes for any. Okay, they are updating our severe thunderstorm warning. If I get that to update, there we go. So if you are in southeastern Kent County, they have officially dropped you from the severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern portions of Kent County. So, like the Lowell area, you've been dropped. The Lowell Charter Township area, you've been dropped from the severe thunderstorm warning. It continues for portions of central and southern Ione counties and in northeastern Barry and the far northwestern portions of Eaton County. You continue with this warning for the next around 20 minutes until 9:30. And this continues to be for the potential 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Latest text here. Again, for southeastern Kent County, the warning's been canceled. The storm's moved out of the warning area. But we continue with it for northeastern Barry, central and southern Ionia counties, and northwestern Eaton County, the far northwestern section, until 9:30 p.m. this evening. Again, for continued potential of 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Say the rain has started to pick up there where Owen's at, so still nothing. Still, the winds are gusty, don't get me wrong, but nothing, I don't think, close to really severe at this point. But
Jacob, I am going to interrupt just a minute here. Off to my due west, I did just see a power flash, which would be associated with these gustier winds that we're starting to see now. Power flashes are not always associated with tornadoes. Again, anytime that the power goes out, a fuse blows. That's what that flash is from. So, still got some winds that can cause some damage. So, knock some power out in some areas. But I did just see one of those off to my west here. So,
all right, got you there. Thank you, Owen. So again, as he was just explaining, those power flashes you're seeing, it's not associated with a tornado. There's nothing like that going on. But just with the gustier winds there, you could just something as simple as a tree limb hitting a line or something. That just causes the fuses that protect our system, that protect the consumer's energy system, the power grid there. That flash you see, that's just that tripping, again, to protect the system. Cut the power out to kind of protect that. So we'll go back to radar, though, real quick, as the rain continues to fall, the wind continues to be gusty. And take a look at the... All right, I will mention Owen. I'm not, well, it might be a bit delayed, but I'm not seeing anything on the outage map yet, so could be delayed though, so we'll watch that, of course. But
yeah, I gotta imagine there's a little bit of delay. And again, those things can happen. And what I saw could have actually just been an arc and it resolved. And which may mean that the power didn't actually go out. There was just a brief arc and power could resume as normal. So
yeah. Sometimes, just because you see those flashes, that doesn't mean power will permanently be shut down. As especially in recent years, they've upgraded the grid with devices that'll try to clear the fault automatically. So sometimes you might have it go out for like 1 or 2 seconds or something, enough to reset your clock or something like that. That's just the temporary fault being cleared by the systems they have put into place on our power grid there to protect that. But again, there's also a bit of a delay, of course, between the outage taking place and actually it being reported in the consumer's energy systems. But as of right now, I'm not seeing anything, but we are watching behind the scenes there, just in case. Okay, so, but we do continue. If I go back to radar here, we'll go back to velocity real quick. And I will say, as it continues to get a little bit further out from the radar, of course, this is higher up, not all that's necessarily reaching the surface, but I am continuing to see. Highest I'm seeing is around 40, kind of near the West Sebawa area, there in southern Ionia County. So that'll be heading towards the Portland area, over towards Sunfield. And we'll take a look from another radar just in case, too. I will say, a bit higher up, the Detroit radar is back to indicating 40 to 50 mile per hour winds at around 7 to 7,500 feet up, kind of along the I-96 corridor there towards Saranac. That's where we're seeing that. Again, that's higher up, not all that's reaching the ground, but just be aware the strongest winds, this is from the Detroit radar we're looking at. That gives us that little bit higher of a view just to show what may potentially reach the ground. Not necessarily what is, but what is potentially what has the potential to reach the ground, excuse me. So that's being indicated there towards the Saranac area, south of Ionia there, along I-96. That will be moving towards the Portland and eventually into Clinton County, especially the Westphalia area down the line. There's no active warnings, obviously, or anything like that for Clinton County yet, but that is something we'll have to watch down the line as well. So, and I will say this, we are seeing an uptick again, especially across Ionia County. At least our system's indicating a little bit of an uptick in lightning. So,
And Jacob, as you were mentioning about winds being indicated on radar and what actually reaches the ground, we were indicating about 40 miles an hour in my area, and the highest we got was 30.4. I'm confident that the stronger winds are past us at this point, so I think I'm going to be shutting down for the evening, but that just goes to show that if you're looking at the weather, or you're watching someone who's covering the weather and they are showing velocity numbers on radar, it does not always equal what actually reaches the ground. So, yeah, thanks for having me on tonight, Jacob.
yep.
Happy to provide some ground truth.
Yep, nope, anytime. Thanks for joining me this evening, Owen.
Yeah, for sure.
If you do see anything else, just let me know, of course. But
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes peeled.
yep, all right. So catch you later.
See ya. Have a good night.
Yep. As we close that out here. So that was Owen, one of our co-founders, along with Jonah. That was Owen that joined us this evening, providing us a little bit of ground truth from the woodland area there in far northeastern Berry County. And as you can see, what was being indicated on radar of 40, 45 mile per hour winds kind of down towards that area. The maximum he's seen on the ground there with his equipment there is around 30 miles per hour. So, again, as he just indicated, just because I'm saying 40, 50 mile per hour winds, that's above the surface, not necessarily what's all reaching the ground there. But the reason they're warning this is just in case. That we could still get a 50, 60 mile per hour gust in isolated spots. So this is just in case measure. Keep you aware of it. Have a severe thunderstorm warning out. And that continues for the next 10 minutes or so now for portions of northeastern Barry into northwestern Eaton, the far northwestern portions, and into central and southern Ionia County, where if you're in Ionia, you're starting to see things pick up a little bit. That is from the portions of the storm continuing to move off to the east. Saranac, this storm is behind you now. Still remain inside for just a few minutes because of potential lightning. But like Odessa, the strongest part of this particular storm is clearing your area now. Sunfield, it's right on your doorstep, will be with you momentarily. Woodbury, we're still seeing some heavier downpours as Owen just indicated, the highest wind potential is passed off to the east. Generally, it's along the leading edge. And then the first few minutes after that, as the rain picks up, that is generally where your highest winds are going to be, and then it'll kind of slow down as things continue to progress. But if you're in the Portland, Lyons, and Pewamo area, along with Muir as well, that is where we're going to be watching in the short term for continued gusty wind potential. Taking another look behind the scenes here at our consumers outage map, I'm still not really seeing a whole lot there. So again, that power flash that Owen saw there earlier, I'm still not seeing anything on the map. So that tells me it might have just been a temporary arc. You know, a tree branch could have hit a line or something. Temporary arc. The systems that are attached to the grid there will kind of clear that fault automatically before you end up with an extended outage. So yeah, we're not really indicating a whole lot in terms of outages, just a few isolated outages here and there, which is good news. We want that to continue to be the case. And other than that, we're not seeing much in the way of storm reports either. Like, the only thing I've really seen officially from our friends at the National Weather Service is in central Allegan County, where 911, Allegan County 911 over there reported some trees down, around 4 reports across central portions of the county. So other than that, we've not seen much in terms of reports. Hopefully that remains the case. We can get these storms out of here without too much more incident. I will say, if you are further to the northwest of the severe activity, if you're across near the Muskegon area, up towards the Sparta, Casnovia, and Ashland areas over towards Cedar Springs, we are seeing some additional heavy shower, maybe some embedded thunder from time to time as well. Nothing severe with that, but something we will be watching in the short term as well throughout the evening. We will see this occasional shower and thunderstorm activity throughout the evening, but I will say as we continue later on in the evening, we will probably be able to get rid of the severe weather threat probably like 10, 11, maybe midnight at the latest. As we're already limited on instability, I'll let you go look behind the scenes here. Refresh Mezzo. Surface base instability. We're already losing our surface base instability. There's only a few hundred joules at most, like 200 maybe a pocket of 250. But let me go to the most unstable cape. We continue with 500 most unstable cape across much of southern Michigan, in the portions of central Michigan as well. But as we continue to lose our surface base instability, we'll lose our potential for storms to really go severe, and decapes starting to fall as well. So that will reduce our gusty wind potential as well. In fact, decapes, I've only seen what? Highest I've seen so far in our local area. Probably like 5, 6, maybe 700 in spots. Especially kind of closer to the Lansing area looking behind the scenes. But nothing really. But I will say our already low end severe potential will begin to fade away here over the next hour, maybe 2 at most. So, for those of you still with us here, I'm going to highlight where we might have had potential severe weather this evening. If you are in the areas I'm highlighting right now, out a little bit for what's been ongoing there. But if you're in the area I'm highlighting here, and if you've had any potential damage from these storms, even as they continue to push east into the eventually towards the St. John's and Lansing areas with time, if you have any damage reports to send to us, we would greatly appreciate them. That is going to be, you can do so on social media. We are watching. If you happen to be with us on stream here, you can send it to us in chat. Just let us know what's going on in your area. We are watching that. You can also tag us on your social media platform of choice. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, threads and even blue sky as well. Blue sky is kind of one that's been new for a while. I've been kind of trying to get going again, but blue sky as well. If you happen to be on there, you want to tag us in a report, do so there. We also have a website to where you can submit those storm reports. I will send a link once again in chat just in case. But that is going to be www.westmichiganweather.net/report. And that is going to be www.westmichiganweather.net/report as I send it in chat right now. You go to that page, it'll have a link to it, it'll take you to a form where you can submit those storm reports to us. Again, we welcome any storm report from anywhere in West Michigan, but especially in the area I've highlighted on the map is especially where we're watching in the short term. Chat back up. There we go. Okay. So nothing new in the chat room yet, which is good news. I'm still not seeing anything from our friends at the Weather Service in terms of reports. Which again, we want that to continue to be the case. That tells me we might not have had too much in terms of severe weather going on, other than that tree damage report in there in central Allegheny County. Around full reports of trees down in that portion of the county. We're going to go back to our severe thunderstorm warning, which we've only got 3 minutes left on that. I will be interested to see what our friends at the National Weather Service in Grand Rapids decides to do with that over the next few minutes. We will see if they extend the warning further east or not, or they decide to go with a statement or something of that nature. We will be seeing what they decide to do with that, and we'll go from there. In the next 2 minutes, our severe thunderstorm warning will expire, and we might be sticking around, we might not be. We'll see here in the next few minutes. But I will go. We'll go back to velocity, take another look real quick. I will say, again, as we've been talking about, this is higher up in the storm, being indicated in higher levels of the storm by Doppler radar. Might not necessarily be what's reaching the ground. Because remember, from what Owen saw there near the Woodland area in Berry County, what was being indicated as 40-mile-per-hour winds on velocities ended up only being 30 miles per hour there at the surface. So, just because I'm showing you 42.5 miles per hour here or so, southwest of Portland or south of Portland now as a new scan comes around, probably only 30, maybe 35 might be reaching the surface. And I'll go over to our other radar, the Detroit radar, and again, what's being shown is 40 to 45 mile per hour winds here south of Ionia. Maybe a 47 pixel. Probably only 30 to 40 miles per hour that might be reaching surface at most. Again, not all of it's reaching down the surface, and with the limited downdraft capes, that the higher winds is going to have a bit more trouble getting down to the surface. So, again, probably 30 to 40 miles per hour winds right now. Maybe not rule out an isolated 40 to 50, but again, the warning is just about to expire in the next minute or so. We'll probably stick around for the next few minutes, see what our friends at the Weather Service decides to do. Excuse me. Drink water here. And let my throat get a little less dry there. Okay. There we go. So, yeah, I do think with time these storms will kind of continue to lose their severity. As if we lost daylight, we're losing whatever daytime instability we've had, which really wasn't all that much to begin with. What's really been driving this was shear. And it looks like our severe warning is being allowed to expire at this point. No active alerts are currently in effect across our area. Like I said, we will stick around for the next few minutes to see what the Weather Service decides to do, just in case. We don't want to come off and have to come right back on here. So far, I have not seen anything from our friends at the National Weather Service, which is good news. Open up. We have feed opened. Rapids, just in case. And at this point, we are hopeful that we might be starting to put our already very low end, not really anticipated much of a severe weather threat. Hopefully, we can begin to put that behind us for the rest of the evening and just have some hopefully some decent rainfall for spots that need it. Maybe a little bit of thunder and non-severe wind, but not really expecting too much in the way of additional severe weather, hopefully. So stick around for the next couple of minutes just in case a warning does get issued, but then we'll consider stepping back from live coverage. So again, one more look at velocity. Remember, 30 to 45-mile-per-hour winds being indicated on radar, kind of stretching from near the Lyons area towards Portland into the Mulligan areas. That'll be heading towards the Eagle area in Clinton County, over towards Westphalia, eventually the Riley area, DeWitt, Grand Ledge, eventually into Lansing as well. But however, since we don't have severe thunderstorm warnings, and based on ground truth reports from the Woodland area by our own Joe Owen Drake in Berry County, this is not all that's likely reaching the ground, probably around 30, maybe 35-mile-per-hour winds at this point in time, is reaching the surface. I will say, remember that little bit of an uptick we've had in lightning earlier, it's kind of backed off again a little bit too. I will say we do have additional storm activity north of the Grand Rapids area, over towards the Muskegon area, over towards Norton Shores and Cedar Springs. Nothing really severe with that. I'll check velocity there too. Not really seeing anything definitive in terms of severe potential there either. Hopefully that continues to be the case. But then some additional showers, maybe occasional thunderstorms as well. Southern portions of our area, a little bit of activity in Van Buren County. Move off to the east and northeast into portions of Kalamazoo County. And then additional activity. In fact, I'll just throw on the composite. Take off that radar. Let's go to composite. Some additional scattered shower and thunderstorm activity will remain possible throughout the rest of the evening into the overnight hours as our cold front continues to clear the area throughout the overnight hours. So remember, behind this cold front that gets rid of the summer-like air we've had this weekend, and early this week, that'll be out of here starting tomorrow and really into the rest of the week. Towards the end of the week, we'll start to warm back up a little bit into the 70s. But again, for the next few days, especially Wednesday and Thursday, we're looking at, it'll definitely feel like fall out there, and even some potential there for frost formation as well towards the middle of the week. In fact, we do have frost and freeze headlines to our north, including a freeze watch across the upper peninsula of Michigan. Again, as we get closer to that Wednesday-Thursday time frame, I would expect frost and freeze headlines to come down into our region as well. So, if something comes out of these storms tonight, again, I have not seen anything come across from our friends at the National Weather Service. So, at this point, one more look at velocity, and then we'll getting out of here for at least for now tonight. Stable velocity. There's going to be gusty winds. Probably going to be there near the Portland area, heading towards Westphalia and Eagle. Eventually towards the Riley, St. John's, DeWitt areas, and eventually into the Grand Ledge and Lansing areas as well. However, we are already losing the limited instability we've had, at least at the surface. So we'll begin to continue to reduce the damaging wind threat as we head later into the evening hours. as low as it's been already. Taking one more look behind the scenes, consumers map, I'm still not seeing a ton in the outage department. A few isolated outages, but nothing of significant concern in terms of outages, which is good news. Of course, we want that to continue to be the case. So, let's say we are seeing lightning activity in case on this Muskegon storm, but nothing concerning on velocity there either. Okay, so with that said, at this point in time, with no indication of any alerts coming down from our friends at the National Weather Service in terms of a severe thunderstorm warning or statement, we are going to go ahead and start to scale back live coverage here at West Michigan Weather. We're still here behind the scenes monitoring the situation throughout the evening and overnight, just in case we do have an additional severe warning. Just in case, we will continue to be here and we'll be ready to go live if absolutely necessary this evening. Otherwise, a general expectation is some showers and embedded thunderstorms. Some embedded storms might contain some small hail or gusty winds, but additional severe weather at this point will become increasingly unlikely as we head into the evening hours and especially towards overnight. So, again, we'll be watching for some heavier downpours as well. We don't necessarily expect widespread flooding issues, but some areas, especially across the central portion of our area, so areas like Alma toward Lansing points north, up towards discussion earlier. Our friends at the National Weather Service, their forecast discussion was indicating areas potentially between South Haven to Holland, Hastings to Grand Rapids, and Lansing to Alma. There could be isolated pockets of maybe an inch of rain, maybe up to 2 possible isolated areas. Most areas, though, if that do see thunderstorms, will probably be in the ballpark of a quarter to half inch. Some areas, especially closer to Ludington and Jackson areas, based on current suggestions, you may not luck out too much in terms of rainfall. Probably be closer to a tenth or a quarter inch. Again, hopefully we get lucky in some of these areas where we need rain. In fact, I'll show you quickly the drought monitor before we go here. Load that in behind the scenes. Again, our categorical outlook, no severe weather being outlined, just a general risk of thunderstorms. Some storms may contain gusty winds, but otherwise. But again, our best area for thunderstorms this evening is the 70% corridor, the red area, really across central and southern portions of our forecast area, has the best chance of thunderstorms. Additional activity is possible up across central lower Michigan, and then it'll back off with northern instead. What I wanted to show you is drought. As you can see, there's many areas across West Michigan at least in a moderate drought. Some of our northern areas up towards the US 10 corridor, that's a severe drought. An additional area of severe drought near Hudsonville back towards Port Sheldon area, west of Grand Rapids. The rest of the areas at least in abnormally dry conditions towards the Kalamazoo, Charlotte areas. So again, we definitely need the rain. This is not going to be a drought-busting rainfall by any means tonight, but we will certainly take everything we can get in terms of rain. But at this point, considering we have no active warnings, we're going to scale back coverage for the night here, hopefully for the night at West Michigan Weather, but we are still monitoring behind the scenes and we'll go live again if necessary, in case we get an additional stray severe thunderstorm warning or something of that nature. And we'll also post on social media as needed if we do get a strong thunderstorm or something like that flares up. But at this point, we're going to go ahead and get out of here for the night at 9:40 p.m. on this Monday evening. This is Jacob Melton on behalf of Owen Drake for West Michigan Weather. Stay tuned to West Michigan weather, as we will continue to keep advised as needed in case we do have additional severe weather to see. Thanks for tuning in with us.